Trump making some major news today ahead of his hush money trial that starts on Monday. For all the details, we turn to Fox News senior national correspondent Kevin Corke. Kevin.
Hey, Rachel, good to be with you, my friend. Former President Trump becoming the first former president to stand trial in a criminal case beginning next week. Now, he'll also do so against the backdrop of course, his ongoing presidential campaign in which he's already the presumptive Republican nominee. Now, in case you're wondering, so what's this thing about you possibly testifying in your own defense? Well, he said this to reporters today.
You plan to testify in your trial in New York?
Yeah, I would testify, absolutely. It's a scam. It's a scam. That's not a trial.
It's a scam. It's not a trial. Now, jury selection begins on Monday in the Big Apple, and the trial is expected to last, 6 to 8 weeks. But that may be a bit optimistic because keep this in mind, while jury selection is expected to last about a week or two, prosecutors and the lawyers for the former president are going to try to whittle down a pool of potentially hundreds of people to just 12 jurors and 6 alternates. What's more, each juror, Rachel, will have to answer 42 questions, designed, of course, to discern whether or not they can be impartial about the former president. A tall order in New York City.
Yeah, it certainly is. All right, Kevin, thank you so much.
You bet.
Joining me now is Mike Davis, former Gorsuch law clerk and founder of the Article 3 Project. Also with me is Saul Weisenberg, former deputy independent counsel and Fox News contributor. Saul, the trial is happening in New York City, which is overwhelmingly voted for, Joe Biden, I think by 75%. Only 22% voted for Trump. So can Trump get a fair trial in New York?
Oh, I think it's going to be very hard for him to do so. I think the motion to change venue should have been granted. But on the other hand, it's so obviously a political prosecution that who knows if anybody can get an acquittal in such unfair circumstances here. Former President Trump may well be able to.
Wow. All right, Mike, let's go through some of these questions that Kevin Corke talked about. The jury is going to have to answer these questionnaires. So here are some of them. Do you currently follow Donald Trump on any social media sites? Have you done so in the past? Do you have any strong opinions about whether a former president may be criminally charged in state court? Do you have any feelings or opinions about how Mr. Trump is being treated in this case? Mike, it also asks people to explain where they get their news from. What do you make of all these questions? Are they good?
Well, this is part of a very biased process by this Democrat Manhattan judge, Juan Merchan. He donated to President Biden's campaign against Trump in 2020. He donated to another anti-Trump group. His adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is a leading Democrat consultant for Biden and Kamala Harris and many other Democrats, and she's making money off of this criminal trial over which her father is presiding. Notice how this questionnaire does not ask these potential jurors whether they are associated with the Biden campaign. They only ask if they're anti-Trump, but they don't ask whether they're associated with Biden or his causes. Yeah, that certainly is not fair, to say the least. Saul, here's what Trump said earlier today about jury selection. Watch this.
Jury selection is largely luck. It depends who you get. It's very unfair that I'm having a trial there. It's very unfair that we have this judge who hates Trump and has tremendous conflict, as you know, tremendous conflict. Nobody can believe that this judge isn't recusing himself. The conflict is at a level that nobody's ever seen before. So I have that, and I have venue. We have all these things that we've asked for. They don't give us anything. It's a witch hunt. All I can do is tell the truth. And the truth is that there's no case. They have no case.
Saul, it is shameful that this judge has not recused himself. It's just making a mockery of our system. But what do you make of what Donald Trump just said?
Well, I want to go back to something that he covered a lot of topics. I want to go back to something Mike said that's very important. He talked about the jury questionnaire. Now, there's some questions on there that are standard, but they asked 8 very specific questions. And on the surface, it looks like, well, the judge is being even-handed here because they asked 4 questions having to do with things like, have you ever been to a Trump rally? Have you ever, are you part of a Trump, or are you on a listserv or an email for pro-Trump? And then they ask 4 questions. Are you anti-Trump? But are you part of an anti-Trump group? Did you go to an anti-Trump rally? But Mike makes a very important point. A juror, potential juror who really doesn't like Donald Trump and wants to get on that jury because he or she is hostile to Donald Trump, well, can always say, well, no, I'm not part of an anti-Trump organization. I'm going to answer that no. But how many organizations have anti-Trump in their title? What you want to ask is, are you on President Biden's listserv or on the listserv of Alvin Bragg or somebody like that? And so that's going to, if it looks at first like it's even-handed, but it can be manipulated by a juror, potential juror who wants to get on that jury. And the judge should ask much more questions. He should get into much more detail. Here's another thing. Are you a member of, and they list 5 different groups, 5 or 6 groups. Well, they're considered to be by many people right-wing extremist groups. The Proud Boys, the 3 Percenters, the Boogaloo Boys, I think is one of them. They only have one left-wing extremist group in there, Antifa. But there's yet another problem about this. By listing these 5 super extremist right-wing groups, they are sending an implicit message that President Trump is affiliated with these groups. So some of these people, some of these prosecutors and judges, even if they're legitimately trying to be fair-minded, they're so biased themselves they can't even be that way. So I don't think the jury questionnaire is even-handed.
All good points. Mike and Saul, thanks so much.